Danny G, our super producer, best in the game, as you know, or may not know, is a huge Raiders fan. The guy wears silver and black probably 5 of the 7 days a week. If it's not Laker gold or Dodgers blue, the guy's rocking his Raiders gear.
I mean, it's the coolest gear in the game. It really is.
I mean,
it's a hard look.
I thought my mom was a Raiders fan. She named my brother Jim after Jim Plunkett. But Danny G.
That's a good woman.
He's hardcore. The Raiders are having some fun. New leadership, Antonio Pierce. They finished the season strong. That loss, I believe, against the Colts sort of put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
They could have made that last push for the postseason. The Raiders, as you remember, got hot at the end with Pierce.
Yeah.
You know, you got Gardner Minshew. You got some new faces. Antonio Pierce, a full season now as the head coach. And at training camp, they broke out a Kermit the Frog doll.
And by the way, it looked like they were having so much fun with it. It wasn't just a Kermit the Frog doll. It was a Chiefs Kermit the Frog doll a la Patrick Mahomes.
And they were doing impressions like, it's me, I'm him.
You saw it. It went viral. I'm here. And they're doing the I'm here with the Kermit. And
they didn't do it as good as you, though.
No, but it was them just having such a blast at Mahomes' expense.
You could see the culture change. If you watch the receiver, I mean, I hate to trash your old coach, but Josh McDaniel, I mean, I feel like that guy.
Oh, please, don't be shy.
He had zero vibe. No vibe. The guy had, that team was like dead with that dude.
His but-you-know-whats were clenched, and the entire team followed suit when he was on the sidelines.
Yeah, and then Antonio Pierce takes over. People are smoking cigars, dancing in the locker room.
It was a culture shift, but I'm wondering how your boy Pierce feels about mocking other teams in this way. Is he all about that sort of fun?
He
seems like a serious dude.
Yeah, but I think he's all about keeping it real and just letting these guys be loose and be themselves. If you missed it, here's a little clip of Mahomes responding to the Raiders mocking him, and then they play a little clip of the Raiders mocking him. Take a listen.
Probably seen the video of the Raiders with the Muppet of you. Is that something that you kind of compartmentalize and use when you get ready to play them?
Yeah, I mean, it's still early in the year. Kind of stuff like that happens. It'll get handled when it gets handled.
Ooh.
It'll get handled when it gets handled.
What does that mean?
That's his way of saying that they can have all the fun they want right now. When the season starts, it's a whole different situation.
Do you think it would have been a lot more intimidating, that last line, if it had came in Ricky Henderson's voice?
Yeah, in third person, too. Yes. Yeah, for
what
sure.
if he just added a B at the end? Like, yeah, it'll get handled. B. like if he punctuated it. But, you know, Danny, before the show.
It's not in his character, though, you know, to our knowledge. When we saw him get fired up last season, that was also a rare moment because he's one of those likable guys who doesn't seem to lose his cool. So I think that's his best approach. But is he flattered or mad is the question. And I think that fuels his fire. I don't think you mess with a guy like Patrick Mahomes in this way.
Yeah, but you're not waking a sleeping giant. It's not like, man, don't rattle Mahomes. The guy's won 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls.
Well, I'll explain why I think it's insulting.
I don't know how you wake him up anymore. The guy he's awoken. So, I mean, I think maybe getting in his head is a good
tactic.
A good tactic because whatever we're doing now is not working. He's, made it to 5 straight AFC Championship games, 3 Super Bowl wins in the last 5 years. I think we should be trying anything to get in this guy's head. Every team.
I like what you're saying here, but it's still a little disrespectful. I'll explain why. I'll be the first to say, hey, Patrick Mahomes is a great sport. He knows that people talk about his voice. He's acknowledged it a million times. He's seen all the memes. He's seen all the clips. He knows that he sounds like Kermit the Frog, and, he laughs it off. It's sort of his signature thing. When it's his team and when it's done in fun, maybe by the fans, someone makes a TikTok video, yeah, he could laugh it off and enjoy it. But when others and other teams are laughing at his expense and he's the butt of the joke, he's the punchline, no freaking way. And I'll explain why. It's pretty simple. We could be on the show making fun of each other all the time, all day long. Hey, Rich is the corniest guy I know. Oh, Covino, he's an a-hole. we can go at each other, but if another show was saying that Rich is the corniest guy they know and our show sucks and we're corny, those are fighting words. It's not the same thing. It's way different when other teams are poking fun at this guy. That's not cool. And if you think he's cool with that, really, deep down, I think you're kidding yourself. We're talking about the ultimate competitor. He is not happy about it.
I've had friends all hanging out in a bigger group, and one dude went at another with a joke, and my boy got mad. He's like, "You don't know me that way."
That's really what it comes down to. Who are they to make fun of him in that way? Are they old school pals? Are they buds from back in the day? Probably not. I don't think so. These are competitors. This is their competition. Those are kind of fighting words. You're poking fun at one of the best in the game. Like, Rich, you could make short jokes, even though I'm not that short. 5'10" and 3/4, by the way. For those of you keeping score at home, I'm the tallest Mexican in my family. 5'10" and 3/4.
I know.
That's
so
above
I'm proud
average.
of that. That's above average.
I'm 5'10" as well. That's
I'm
not
like pushing 5'11", right? Depending if I have my height increasing shoes on.
You should wear platform shoes. You'd be 6 foot.
When I'm wearing my Pee Wee Herman shoes, I'm like 6'2". So, Rich could make a short joke here and there. If there was another radio show saying those things about me, laughing about it at my expense, and I'm not there to defend myself, and that goes viral, and other people are laughing about this other show laughing at me, you don't see the difference there? There's a major, major difference.
Yeah, but
guys.
you're a type of guy,
that other show doesn't know me that way.
But you're the type of guy that takes yourself a little serious.
You don't
at
think
times.
Patrick Mahomes takes his competitive game serious? This is who he is. He's a football player, and other football teams are making fun of him. That's not cool.
I don't think he cares that they have a Kermit the Frog
He's
doll.
not going to let him know that he cares. That's why he said what he said. That's what the quote means. You got it all wrong. We're talking about the ultimate competitors. It's like Marvin Hagler said, you never let them see you sweat. You don't let people know that bothered you. But you know what? When game time comes, I'm going to show you what bothered me.
You know how you would prove to me that Mahomes cares a little bit? If they play the Raiders, their first matchup this year, and I hate to say this, Danny, if the Chiefs win by like 20, and in the postgame, Mahomes breaks out a little Kermit doll, and he's like, "Yeah, what now?" Like then.
But back
Yeah,
when
that would be funny.
Then it would be like, "Ooh, okay." But in my mind, I'm like, they're having fun. The Raiders are keeping it loose. They're making fun of the best quarterback in the league.
Do you know him like that?
Again.
Do they know Mahomes like that?
At this stage of the game, you try to get in his head any way you
Rich,
can.
I've made a career making fun of Rich. I love making fun of Rich. You know why? Because Rich is a great sport. That's the truth. Rich is really comfortable in his skin. He can take a joke. I love making fun of Rich. I would not be happy as Rich's partner if other shows were making fun of Rich. So you think all the Chiefs are just cool with them making fun of their quarterback?
Okay.
No way.
Covino, a lot of this swag is coming from Jack Jones, former Patriot, and he played early in his young life with Pierce as his coach at Long Beach Poly. So there's a history with Jack Jones and Mahomes. It goes back to last season where Jack Jones and Mahomes through the media were talking trash before the Christmas game. And Pierce said, look, I don't mind it if he's having fun, but he needs to back it up on the field. And Jack Jones stepped up, had that pick six. The Raiders defense scored 2 defensive touchdowns in 7 seconds, and they blew the Kansas City Chiefs out at home. And that left a bad taste in Kelsey's mouth. He's commented on it, Mahomes. So now this Jack Jones thing with the Chiefs is what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, what do you think it'll be handled when it gets handled? It means he's going to handle it when the time comes. He's not happy.
That's his way of
about it.
saying, I'll put a little note next to that game. A little extra ass whooping.
But can you get in his head? Because we saw the Raiders star Max Crosby affect him on the field. Remember, just by shoving him after plays and rattling him a little bit.
Of course. And
so I think the Raiders, in the back of their mind, think we can rattle him a little bit if we get in his head. But you got to back it up on the field, man. This is super embarrassing if you lay an egg when you face him next time.
Well, if it's a tactic to get in their head just to try something different, like Rich insinuated before, maybe that's a good move. And look, let's not lose the focus here. We as fans, we're the ones that reap the benefits. Do I care? Hell no. Do I want to see more drama and more action on the field and more rivalry as a result? Hell yeah. So, we all win as a result here. So don't think I'm mad about it. I'm not. I'm just saying I wouldn't take it kindly if I was him, but I also wouldn't advertise that it bothered me because then you get other people leaning into it. It's like anything else. Now, once you show people you care, then everyone's going to be taking a shot.
Do you believe? So let me wrap it up with this then. At COVINO RICH, by the way, if you have any feedback. do you believe in, quote, bulletin board material? Because that's what this sort of boils down to, right? Like, some guy talks some smack about another team. What do they post that in the locker room? Like, you see what they said? Who did that recently? There was a team that posted, like, the record they thought they would be in the locker room. The Lakers, right? Remember the Lakers posted, like, their record in the locker room? And people use bulletin board material, but it's like, it really depends. Are you good? Right? I mean, like, you could say, man, they're talking smack. Remember Deebo Samuel? You saw this on receiver. C.J. Gardner-Johnson of the Lions. They were going back and forth, chirping. But you know what? Guess who he didn't stop? Deebo Samuel. So you could chirp all day. But if when the matchup happens, if you got no answers, you look like a fool. And Danny, your Raiders, I don't think whether or not they trash talk Mahomes is going to make much of a difference. But if they back it up, it'll look cool. If they don't, they'll look silly.
Let me ask you this, too, though, based on that. You think Mahomes wants to be answering questions like that this early on in the season? No. Did it look like he was happy about it? No.
You're the top dog. Everyone's gunning for you. They always say, like, when you play, that's the game a lot of people have circled on their schedule. You want to see how you face up against the best. So that, everyone the Chiefs play. They're a dynasty now, man.
Usually, and I don't know what you think about your Niners, Rich, if you like them to be swagalicious or to kind of keep things behind the scenes, but the one thing I would not like my team to poke a bear, but if the Raiders are feeling this confident about their defense, that's a good sign going into the season. I hope they can back it up on the field, like I said.
Yeah. No, and again, I think it's fun for football, and I think your
But for
Raiders
real, do they
fun.
think their defense is that good that they can do this?
Yeah, I think it's a sign of how they're feeling themselves, to be honest. I think it's a good sign for your team that they feel that confident to go after the best. So good for the Raiders. Your thoughts on Mahomes? You think he's flattered that people are talking about him, or you think he's mad about it? He had to address that today. Again, the Raiders were poking fun at his expense with the Kermit puppet. We get that. We've known that for a long time. But again, like I said, when it's outside of the family and outside of the circle, it's a little different.
Yeah, I know. What Covino's saying, which makes sense, is if Kelsey and Andy Reid and his close pals and coaches were like, hey, we got a Kermit doll, and it was in the clubhouse, in the locker room.
Right.
That's
and
fun.
They're doing the voice, and as we know, Reid does the voice, and because they're family, they're friends, they have fun that way. When other teams are doing it, and they're the teams trying to beat you, I don't know about that.
It boils down to a line we all back up. I can make fun of my wife and kids. You can't. I can make fun of my family. You can't.
That's it. I think it comes down to that.
I can mock Iowa Sam and Danny and you, but you know what? You're right. If another show did it, I'd get very defensive.